Hi, thanks for watching this Prophecy Dispatch for Brokers video. This is a high-level overview of the Prophecy Dispatch software as a brokerage would use it. I'm currently on the pending load screen. Pending loads are loads that I'm doing. They're set up in the system. They're just not assigned to anybody yet. As I go left to right, there is all sorts of columns here. Every user can set the board up the way they want and select the columns they want to see. The assigned board, these loads have been assigned to a carrier. The en route board, these loads have picked up. So those are the core statuses right there. Then the active load board will show you all of those categories at once. Once again, all these boards can be, the columns can be selected by the user as to what they want to see. And you can be moved around in any order you want to see them in. The completed board, these are loads that are delivered. There is a date range on top of each board as well. The user can select the date range they want to show on each board. You can split the board and show multiple categories at one time. Anything you want in the bottom, anything you want in the top. You can show your carriers in the bottom if you want. You can search and query any of the fields in here. I want to query a particular carrier that might be on the phone with me to see if they're set up in my system. Type the number in down there in any of these fields. Run the query. You can see if they're in your system. You see if they have all their information current. You can drill down to the actual database and drill back out. You can assign from the bottom half to the top half by simply click, drag, and drop, just like that. And I could assign the carrier if I wanted to. So that's the overview of the dispatch board. I'm going to go ahead and build a load now from scratch. If you do repetitive work, you can copy loads over and over multiple times. You don't have to recreate from the beginning, but let's go ahead and create one from scratch. Top left-hand corner, book new. For the most part, you can fill in what you want. Some fields are required. The customer field, I'm going to fill in now. It is required. Type in a few letters, pull in your customer from your customer database. That's who's going to get the bill. We do have a two-way integration to QuickBooks. So if you choose to use it, this information can be displayed. You can also control credit limits and credit warnings and credit holds. Pickup and delivery information. Type in a few letters, same thing. Information from your database. Pulls it all in. If you want to use just a zip code, you can do that. The system will populate the city for you. You want to add on the fly, you can do that by clicking new location. I'll go ahead and pull in a delivery point. If you have multiple deliveries or pickups, you just keep clicking add. You can add as many as you want. I'm going to go ahead and put in a pickup and delivery date, scheduled. By clicking my mouse, you do have the ability to type if you prefer to type. Customer, pickup, delivery. The middle section is totally optional. If you want to fill in and track the products you haul on this particular load, you can do that. That list can be set up by you. You can fill in anything you want here or not. There are some optional fields over to the right as well. In the bottom section are your charges, and that'll be depending on what you set up. So for this customer, if I click the rate button in the top middle, it'll auto-populate. In this case, flat contracted rate. That's something I've created. You can create your own descriptions. The miles come in automatically. Our mileage system is built into it. The rate is $1,500, so that's what I had preset with this customer. I currently run a 37% fuel surcharge this week, and that is being read, in my case, off the fuel surcharge I set up that reads off the DOE updates each week that we pull in. So it becomes automated. Any of the rate can be automated, or you can manually type in whatever you want if you're spot quoting. You can create any descriptions you want, or we can automate based on virtually anything. A preset flat, miles, per pound, per pallet, per piece, per hundred, per ton. We can automate all that. Or once again, spot quoting, negotiate, and just type a number in there. An example of the different charges you can create. Literally anything you can think of. We call them revenue types. You can create them. Top left-hand corner, save load. It's going to auto-assign a load number for me. The way that works is you pick a number to begin with. This goes on forever. It becomes your invoice number. It also will become your number in QuickBooks receivables if you're using QuickBooks. If you need to fill in any other numbers across the top here, you can do that as well. By default, that becomes a pending load on my pending load board. I'm going to assign a carrier to it now. Actually, before I assign a carrier to it, show you a few search tools. Right-click, I'm going to search carriers that I have previously used on a load like this. And by like this, I simply mean picked up within a 100-mile radius of Bloomfield. And you can skim through the criteria here. You can make this as specific as you want. Show me anybody I've done work with that fits that criteria. There's all the ones that fit that criteria. There's certain things you can look at here, whether they have insurance expired, preferred carrier, if you use our ranking system, how many loads they've done and the average price. So from here, you can simply call people. You can even do an email blast. It populates this email that you can change. You hit send. It'll email blast out everybody on that list that you've selected. I just got the email, and it looks like this. It's relatively generic by design, basically saying this is what's available. If you're interested, call me. We can also post out to the load board. So if you have subscriptions to any of these load boards, you just right-click, post current load. If you look across the bottom, any of these subscriptions you might hold, we can post to those using this little wizard here. Let's go ahead and assign a carrier. Everything's a right-click function. Right-click, assign. You're going to see all your carriers with any expirations. I happen to have a lot in my system. Pick your carrier. I'll get into these expirations a little bit more, but we can track on any of those. Pick your carrier. I'm getting a warning that I'm going to go ahead and enter through. Tell it on trucking is doing the load. I'm going to click pay. Fill in the negotiated amount. Assuming it is negotiated, you can preset these rates as well if you have set rates with carriers. From this point, if you want to generate a carrier rate confirmation, there's 30 to 40 layouts in our system. You can select from. This language in the middle can be modified, and you can email it right out of here. This has now become an assigned load right there. If you want, you can also keep track of the carrier phone number right here on the board, driver, name, and phone number if you want as well. Once the driver is loaded, if you decide to mark them loaded, you can just right-click your mouse. Before I do that, I do want to show you one more thing. We have an optional integration to MacroPoint. If you are going to use MacroPoint on some or all of your loads, once the carrier is set up to use MacroPoint, you just click that Track with MacroPoint button. It'll start tracking. It also provides geofence updates, so it'll change the statuses of the loads. That is an optional add-on module that we have available. Let's go ahead and mark them loaded manually. Right-click, change status. Time and date, click OK. He's been marked loaded at 12:24. I'm going to go ahead and mark them complete. You can log in daily check calls, or you can get automatic updates through MacroPoint. I'm going to go ahead and mark them complete. Time and date. If you want to use the carrier ranking system, that's where you would do it. It has been marked complete. There it is. Now from the completed board, it also will show up on the billing screen automatically. Accounting, print and post freight bills. There it is on the bottom, 13654. It's telling me currently it's incomplete. Specifically what that means is the paperwork is not in the system yet in order to bill it. The required paperwork to bill it is not in the system yet. So let's go ahead and do that. There are several ways we can get it in there. Scan it, attach it. We have several integrations to mobile imaging. There's the load number. There's the customer. I could hit scan image. So it's hooked up to a scanner and scan it in, or I can attach from various forms. If it gets emailed in, or you do a big batch scan, you just click, drag, and drop. Identify what type of document, and you can create your own labels. I just attach the bill of lading to that load to that customer. You'll see it says from incomplete to OK. It recognizes the appropriate paperwork is now in the system. Are my charges accurate? Do I need to modify or add anything? I can still do this at this point. Put in whatever you want there, create whatever you want. If you need to put these numbers in because they're not in there yet, you can do that. If you want to put any notes, you can do that. That's a very large field. If this one's okay to be billed, you can check off the audited box. You can move on to the next and the rest of them for the day. You hit print when you're done and ready. print off your invoices. There's roughly 30 to 40 layouts of invoices available. You can select different ones for different customers that will default if you'd like. Your logo appears everywhere. While you're on this particular layout, your numbers, your pickups and stops, your itemized charges are already in there. So you can print all of these off, or you can do a rendition email, which will create and generate these emails for your customers. The email will contain the invoice with the required documents, only the required documents. And I want to show you what that looks like. I just got this. I'm your customer. I open up PDF. There's the invoice we just literally generated and created. There's a documentation I scanned in or attached. Once you print or email, the system's going to ask you, did everything print okay? You're going to say yes. Now I'm going to hit post. If you watch on the bottom, 13654 will go away and be on its way to QuickBooks AR in this case. I say go away, has not left the system, it just left this screen, as this screen is designed for loads that have delivered and not yet billed. You want to auto driver payments, carrier invoices. Come to this screen, an invoice comes in, you match it up to the load. Here's the load we just did. Is the amount accurate that I agreed upon? If not, you figure out why and change it. If there's any advances in the bottom, they would be there. I'm going to go ahead and type in the carrier invoice number. You would go through the whole list for the day, and then you can select these also, and you can post these over to QuickBooks as payables once I view them on the screen. You would normally have a selection here, larger selection. That's what I'm sending over for payables. I hit post, and it's on its way to QuickBooks payables. Now, before we get into QuickBooks, there's one more step involved. Once we do all the setup during the implementation, everything is already mapped out to where it needs to go based on what you'd like. All I do here is hit process in these different categories. Jump over to QuickBooks now. Here's my aging report. Down towards the bottom is PTSI, who we just worked with. 13654 is the invoice/load number we just sent over. I can zoom in here, and I do see a copy of the QuickBooks invoice that I'm not going to use normally. So here's a reference, and you will also receive in cash in QuickBooks by design. That's how it's designed, if you decide to do that. We can also show that money coming in and being paid on the Prophesy side as well. The primary way to track it is here in QuickBooks. Also, if you send over any carrier payments, they come over here to the vendor category, and there's the one we just sent over, $800 for Celadon. You would print your checks out of QuickBooks. One more thing on the Prophesy side, I want to show you we do have an optional integration available to SaferWatch for setting up your carriers, checking out their safety and insurance. So if I have a carrier I want to possibly work with, I can hit the pre-approve button right there, type in their MC or the DOT number, hit the SaferWatch button. It'll tell me right away whether they're approved or not based on your settings. If it's someone you do want to work with and is approved, you can set them up in the system. Just like that, their entire record gets set up. Name and address, MC, DOT, all the SaferWatch information is right here. Acceptable. All the CSA basic equivalents are good. Everything's in order. They're active. I can jump down to the primary contacts. They're going to be automatically put in there. The insurance tab immediately puts in the BIPD. I can take it a step further and click download cert data. And there's the rest of this company's insurance, and this is happening live. I can also download the certificate of insurance. And there it is. Now this is also being filed in this carrier record under the document imaging tab. Test J, and there it is. So this is the optional SaferWatch integration. This will also go out and check this carrier again every time you try to use them. You can also set up a carrier watch list every morning where you'll get an email if any of your carriers on that watch list have any changes. One more quick thing I do want to show you is that we do have a two-way integration to QuickBooks. So if you want this information to be displayed for certain people, it saves some time for dispatchers having to go to accounting. A little button there says this load was paid. I can get some basic detail from a dispatcher to see when it was paid. Also on the other side, a carrier might be asking me why they haven't been paid on a load. I can go to the assignments portion of the screen, click paid, or it might say unpaid. It'll tell them the details they need to see. This is all being fed back in from QuickBooks. That is it. Once again, this is a high-level overview. We do recommend more detailed company-specific demonstration. So please let us know if you'd like to see one. Thank you.